Make the Dot, we exist to really try to remove those frictions so that ideas can flow freely from imagination all the way to creation. And if you've been in any kind of digital transformation, you know that transformation is as much about people, process, as it is about system. So tonight, we've invited leaders from across design and merchandising to share about how they would bring that to life and kind of have balance between those aspects.
I mean, I'll go first. I mean, my last role, like you said, was global go-to-market, which is really how all of the different parts of the organization come together to go from strategy to execution. So for me, it's like a much bigger conversation, and there's so many aspects of transformation. And I think the only thing constant is change, but really in the last couple of years, it has been a lot of change between the pandemic and then supply chain and then obviously tech and AI and then tariffs. I mean, there's just constant change and needing to be agile. So like transformation is like, how do you adjust in those moments and still figure out like how to continue to move forward with whatever your mission is. And
so the first thing I think about transformation and design is if we can take AI renderings and use them as a sales tool, cutting down on samples. So currently I make a line that's roughly 80 pieces in the collection, and then I have 15 sales reps, so that's 1,200 samples that are just to sell. So if I can cut out initial sample making, that's like one way that I can see it transforming our everyday life. And then the other benefit to that is sustainability. So the fact that we're making less, we're consuming less fabric. The first thing when she said that, I automatically thought about sustainability and how wasteful the fashion industry is, so how AI could help with that transition. For me, it's getting all of my counterparts on board. So it's being able to get sales and merchandising comfortable with the idea of using a new sales tool and aligning on the fact that it can replace something. So they have to completely change their mindset of what they're used to and how they're used to working in their workflow. So I think that's the most important thing, is like the more you integrate and push to integrate AI into your daily workflow, you can show them results, and the results are going to speak higher than, just the concept of AI. You're able to cut out some of the workflow. So,
right. So
I think a lot of it comes down to is operating as an enterprise or as silos. And I think there's a problem right now is there's so many silos, and sometimes you might have a very macro goal, but what that means when you click down one layer is very different. And then does the left hand know what the right hand is doing, or the why? So it could start with design, and it's about, well, I want to enhance it all these different ways, but then it comes down to margin and how much it's going to cost, and then what is the value proposition that the sales team can actually sell it to. And like a lot of times it does not, it's not a seamless conversation. It gets broken down throughout the way, and it's almost like a game of telephone. And really the concept and initial vision gets really muddied if you don't have a clear tool to be able to go through that process, or a strong, clear vision of what everybody's trying to strive for as a common goal that everybody's a part to play.
Sometimes there's this fear that it's like, it's all or nothing. Like I remember when we first started using Illustrator, a long time ago. But it was like, people were like really scared, like, I'm not going to be able to hand draw anymore. And I was like, no, you want to hand sketch, go ahead and hand sketch. Anybody say you can't do that, And I think even with this, there are some things, like even the tech designers are like, well, we still have to get samples of this thing. And nobody's saying that you can't. We're just saying that you only need 5, maybe 2. Just cut out some of that, and then the more that you establish the trust in what you're doing, then maybe you can get to 1, maybe none.
I love your point about all or nothing, because sometimes people think maybe could be technology, could be AI. Oh, it's a silver bullet, it's all or nothing, and then like press a button and everything like all the problems are solved. And sometimes, like you said, it's about let's start with cutting down some, and then every cycle. And on our end, I'm echoing because we've seen that actually on the ground. That is how change has been happening from what we hear from customers and brands as well, where like because previously our calendars and cycles are so long, so then when you're testing things, like you might not see, our calendars used to be what, like 50 something, 60 weeks, and you can't see the impact and the change. You can't learn from it quick enough because it's so long, right? But now that things are compressing, so then every round we're testing, it gets quicker and quicker and slightly different. One example being, I heard from one of the designers we work with, she's like phenomenal denim designer, and then like I think Q1, she was mentioning, hey, my process is like, I still start off CADing, but now I'm showing more photorealistic visualization to sales to buyer. By when we evolve by Q2, Q3, she's like, oh, hey, actually, I'm starting with the rendering. I'm getting the brief with merchandising and sales and the buyer all aligned first before I even started CAD. And when we heard that, we were like, I did not even expect that to happen. That is crazy. And then so every month we're now seeing kind of new workflows emerging. So I absolutely agree. It's not really a all or nothing type of thing. It does evolve.
It's like everybody gets on the same page first, you know, because now it's kind of like, okay, merchants go and they look at all their data and they're like, okay, we need this, and this. And then design gets their assortment plan or their line plan, and then we look at it, we add some emotion. And we're like, actually, what we're like, and we need this too, and we saw this on the runway, you know, so we add all that in, and then here comes the product developers. They are like in the middle of it. And so we're like, well, you need to develop this, and like 20 other things. And they're like, but the line plan only has 5 styles. They're like, don't look at that. You know, but it's like, if you can get all of those people on the same page early, it's like you're not overdeveloping all of the stuff. Everybody is in agreement that yes, we know that wasn't on the line plan, but let's test it because design feels very strongly about it. We made our case about why it should be there. You know, let's all get on board, and we're all like holding hands and moving forward. And then some of those like assortment meetings and the sketch reviews, they're not as tough, shall we say, you know, and stressful. You know, and again, like your assortment review doesn't have to be as long, you know? And so I just think it would be helpful, like if we were all working in the same company, like if we all were able to meet ahead of time with those digital tools and be able to like say, okay, I think this is what we want with the line. And there's nothing saying that, you know, there's not going to be some dogs in there that you're like, well, we thought that was going to look good, but you know, at least to your point, Emilie, you're able to drop things a lot faster. Like you'll know a lot sooner what you don't like, which sometimes is even better than the things that you do like.
For me, sales is the biggest component. If I can get the seller on board, everyone else will get on board, because the seller at the end of the day is going to be more passionate about the product. So if I can integrate them in the very, very beginning, which is what I currently do, I want to get them excited before we even designed anything. So that way, by the time they get the line downstairs, they're so excited to sell the product. So I think having those AI tools that I can show the seller a rendering that they can understand is great, because generally when they're seeing a sketch, they're interpreting it.
When I look at it, having my experience in fashion and supply chain, I'm like, we spend so much effort, we work so hard to come up with these product ideas, we bring it to market, and then we promote it, and then we go through like marketing campaigns after campaigns. But we're like, what if we had more of a feedback loop and more of a sure idea earlier? Sales and merchandising teams are definitely super crucial in the mix. But I was thinking, what if we had more consumer sentiment? Because we're all designing for the target consumer. Every single brand has a persona that you're designing for. You know exactly, almost like the demographic of who you're designing, right? And I was thinking, now that we're seeing these visualizations so much earlier in the calendar, what can we do? And then I haven't seen this happen at larger kind of enterprise companies just yet, but with we have one or two kind of smaller brand partner that they're quite nimble. So what they try to test is, for example, like even Instagram campaign. It could be an ad campaign, or it could be even like on your Instagram page. I saw this really cool thing where they created an Instagram poll, a poll with like A or B, and then they just pull up some render with like even different colorway, slightly different version of the print. It's the same body, it's the same silhouette. And I thought, that is super interesting.
Like direct A/B testing.
Yeah, direct A/B testing. And now because you could arrange that within the product development lifecycle. And so that is one observation I've seen in an extremely small form. We haven't seen it executed widely. But when I saw that, I was like, I'm so inspired, because now product development could be a lot more engaging. Because imagine then if you create that, you combine your original inspirational story.
There's first insights, which I know a lot of companies use, but
Exactly.
I know the situations I've been in the past, it literally is a CAD.
It's been really interesting being someone on the tech side of design for so long, because I'm so used to people resisting it. Like most, people are just like, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, but it'll help you. I don't want to do that, And so part of the advocacy is trying to help designers understand that the tech is not taking away the creativity. It can coexist with some of the manual things that we enjoy doing. But what it will help you do is go and have drinks with your girlfriends after work, right? Because you're not sitting there all night long, doing whatever it is that somebody dropped in your lap at 4:30.
And if you're planning your merchandising on those Monday morning reports,
Right. Go home and have dinner with your husband and your kids,
You're like, what? Work-life balance?
Right, exactly. So selling it that way has helped.
I think I definitely echo with the point, because it's a mindset. Transformation is really more about mindset. And the thing is, with creativity, maybe we previously thought, if we use like more systems, more technology, is that really taking away like the creativity? Is it all or nothing? And that's kind of like been our side of the ethos from day one. We're like, because my background, when I worked in fashion supply chain, I worked with so many designers. That's why we started, because I saw how everybody worked overtime, and I'm like, but you guys are so creative, you love the craft, you're so passionate about the craft. I want to support that. And all the other cross-functional team coming together, merchandising, planning, bringing that product to life is so beautiful, it's so magical. We're like, how can we help that to remove the friction, remove the inefficiency, and we're still talking about creating successful commercial product while keeping the creativity intact. Hence, I mentioned maybe in the future, like as we evolve. Right now, we're looking at internal team collaboration, and then as we progress, we could actually engage more and more with the market, with the consumer. So then hopefully we could actually enjoy what we all love to do, but not have to sacrifice the creativity.
I'm actually using Make the Dot currently with one of my brands that I design, and that's kind of the precipice of teaching my sales team how AI can show renderings and getting them on board, like we're saying earlier in the process. But you can use it, even their program, you're able to use it all the way from the start of concepting. So, I'm using AI to make concept boards, really from the very initial start of design all the way through getting a 3D render.
Thank you so much to both the panel and also the audience for being so engaged. I personally had such a wonderful time chatting about this topic. This kind of topic I could talk about all day long, and also during dinners. If you ask some of these folks, you know. So yeah, it was wonderful to be able to bring some of these dinner topics that I've always had to a slightly bigger stage and share with people. Yeah, I think we'll now conclude the panel and also open up the space. We'll rearrange the chairs, open up the space so that everyone can get to know each other and connect. That's what this event's for.